Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Wilhelm Scream, and welcome back to another day in Destiny 2, and still Beyond Light Season of the Lost 30th Anniversary Edition, soon to be Witch Queen Intel. And in this video, I'm going to be taking you through this week's Grandmaster Nightfall once again. It is the Proving Ground strike. Not my favorite strike. I don't think it's anybody's favorite strike, certainly one of the longest ones, but you might want to take advantage of it this week because the rewards for getting it done on a platinum run, that means you'll be able to get the adept weapons, and this version of the swarm will be leaving us next season. So make sure that you farm it out because it might be the last chance you have to actually get the swarm adept. And if that's not something you're looking for, of course, we have the palindrome adept available this week, which is still one of the best hand cannons in the game. Certainly one of the best 140 hand cannons in the game. So like always, I will be sharing with you all the tips, tricks, glitches, and cheeses that you can do in this particular strike. First one I'm going to start off with is the Skyburner's Oath cheese. You could call it a glitch. I don't think it's a glitch. I think it's actually supposed to work this way, but we're going to be using it for a glitch, so you can take it as you will. But overall, the Skyburner's Oath never really gets too much attention. I'm sure that there is other meta that you could use in this strike that might work out a little bit better, but for me, I always tend to lean towards staying out of danger. So I like to be as far away from the enemies that I'm shooting as possible, and that's where the Skyburner's Oath really comes in with its tracking rounds. Also, it will penetrate the call them mini boss shields and actually be able to hit the generator in the middle even if you're outside of the shield. So this allows you to stay as far away from those bosses in the beginning and the final boss at the end and bring down the shield without actually having to go inside of it, simply because the Skyburner's Oath will shoot through any Cabal shields. Keep in mind that when you're shooting the generator in the middle of the shield, you might not actually see a damage readout. You won't actually see any hit markers or numbers necessarily coming off of the generator, but it's still working. Just keep at it. As long as you're shooting at it and there's no impediments in the way, nothing to block the shot, eventually the shield will come down. It can take a little bit of damage, but just keep it in mind. Even if you're not seeing damage being done, it actually is working. That is just a glitch of some kind with the damage readout, but it will actually work. I like to stay up on this side for this first area because this first area is actually kind of a pain. The boss that you fight is not easy, even though it's early on in the strike. I like to stay up here on the left, use my Skyburner's Oath, just shoot down. Again, stay out of danger. If you're doing this with a team, you can have your teammates on the opposite side of the map and you can stay up here. And the reason I suggest this is just because if you're doing this in a pickup group, a lot of runs will just get stopped right here if you can't make progress quickly. I've seen it happen more times than I'd like to talk about. My groups, other groups, they get to the first boss, the little mini boss, and you just can't get past it and everybody just leaves. So try to make it as easy as possible for not just you if you're doing it for a solo run, but also your teammates. The next little thing that I want to talk about is, well, you could call it the major thing. It's probably the biggest glitch that we'll actually cover in this video, or at least the most effective one, is for the tank room. There's actually two glitches you can do in the tank room. Now, the reason I say this is probably the thing that most people, or the most effective thing that people are going to want to take advantage of, is because the final glitch, which really is like the big out-of-bounds glitch, it's a little bit tricky to get to work properly. It takes a little bit of practice, whereas this, for any solo run or group run, will really come in handy. So what you're going to want to do is, there's two things you can do with the tanks. One is you can take the interceptors. There'll be 3 of them in the tank room, 2 or 3, I can't remember, and you can actually park them in front of the tank doors. Now, as long as you do this before the tanks actually come out of the doors, it'll stop the tanks dead in their tracks. They won't actually move past the interceptor. You have to have it directly in the middle of the door, though. So what this can allow you to do is take out the other enemies and save the tanks for last. They won't shoot. They'll just stay there and basically be pincered up against the interceptor. If you shoot at the tanks, though, they will go through the interceptor. So you kind of just have to leave them alone. But this would allow you to take down one tank and then the other, rather than having to fight both of them at the same time. The other thing you can do, and this is what I suggest most people do, is park one interceptor in front of one tank door. Go get the other interceptor. It's very important to make sure that you don't blow up the interceptor. So just try to shoot the enemy that's driving it, the little, whatever they are, the Cabal, I can't remember, the little Cabal guys. You know what I'm talking about. Make sure you shoot them off. Don't blow up the interceptor, because what you can do is park one, like I said, in front of one tank door, and then take the other one and just launch it directly into the tank. Do a burst of speed right into the side of the tank and just crash it right into the tank, and then dismount the interceptor as fast as possible, because what that'll do is it'll one-shot the tank. Interceptors, when they crash into tanks, simply just one-shot them. Now, I have had a few people say it didn't one-shot the tank. Okay, let me be perfectly clear. It does about 99% of the damage to a tank. It might take the interceptor blowing up to do that last 1%. You might die if you're not quick enough to get off the interceptor. So if you're doing this as a solo run, make sure that you're pretty quick on that. If you're doing this in a group run, it might take one revive, but I don't think one revive is really that much of a cost when you're talking about the tank room. So maybe just do one shot on the tank before you crash the interceptor into it, or be prepared to do one shot on the tank after you crash the interceptor into it. But for the most part, it'll nuke the tank. So you could do this for one tank, maybe the other as well if you have 3 interceptors, or if you're able to salvage that one that's blocking the other tank. That's probably the most effective glitch that I could tell you about in this particular strike. The next one, though it is kind of flashy and is certainly, it's an out-of-bounds glitch, so that really, I think, grabs a lot of attention. Just keep in mind, it's not viable for solo runs, and if you are doing it in a group, you really have to practice the timing, because this is for this room. We'll call it the node room, or the it's where you have to, yes, take these nodes and put them in before you can actually go up the elevator. So for this, you would need one person, at least one person, to go up the elevator and be up there first before you see the other 2 people or other person glitch out of the map like I'm doing here. And it's a fairly easy out-of-map glitching jumping puzzle. All you have to do is go out from behind the gears, you'll fall down, and you'll make your way through this area. You can't really get too lost here. You'll see sort of this green light behind you. Don't go down that tunnel. Just use the different ledges that you need to get up to this point. And what you're really looking for is this big gray slab that you see me about to jump on here. This is the top of the map, essentially. Once you're up here, you're pretty good to go. It's going to be fairly easily to progress at this point. I would suggest, if you are the person who wants to attempt this, make sure you're on a Warlock or a Titan. It's just a lot easier. Though, there is a way for hunters to do this now using the light attack sword glitch to basically fly across any real big piece of area where you have to actually jump. So you'd be able to do that rather than jump, but it's still a little sketchy. So I would suggest giving it a little bit of practice and trying it on a Warlock first or a Titan. But you'll make your way around the right side of this big gray slab. I suggest going all the way around the right side because there is invisible barriers in the middle that you can get hung up on until you find these trellises, call them. You'll make your way up to the top of these trellises. It's a little bit difficult to clamber on in some spots. It can get very dark, but once you're up on top, it's going to be much easier. You'll make your way up to this one ledge that you can see right above me to the left. It's pretty easy to stand on once you're up here. And then you'll jump up again onto this sort of scaffolding. You can almost see it kind of forms a little hallway. You'll run all the way down to the end of this hallway. And then you're going to have to make a big jump. Now, what this will do when you get to the other ledge, opposite this jump, is it will allow you to be over the top of the boss room. So you can actually shoot down into the boss room without worrying about having to take damage from the boss or the other enemies. And this is where the Skyburner's Oath is really going to come in handy, because you can actually shoot down through the shield and take out the generator for the boss's shield and allow your teammates to just go in and nuke the boss. So it can be very handy if you can get to this point and you can get the timing to work. Remember, you have to have somebody up the elevator first, otherwise you will get pulled back into the map. But once you're up here, it looks like there's a roof, but you actually can just fall down into it, and you should be good to go at that point. You can actually traverse the entirety of the boss room ceiling. You can just go over all of it. So wherever you need to be, if you need to get out of danger. I still think the boss can do a little bit of splash damage up here, to you up here, if you are not paying attention, but it's fairly easy to get out of the way because there's a lot of places where you can hide. For your two teammates, if you are doing this in a group or if you're doing this in a solo run and you're actually just in the boss room, a couple of tricks that you can do in there. One, if you stay on the side closest to the door where you actually enter, as long as the boss is on the opposite side of the room, his the balls of fire that he shoots out, not his like not the sniper attack that he does, but his AoE attack, won't actually be able to reach you so long as you're on the opposite side of the room. They just spread out too far before they actually get to you. And the other real, call it cheese for the room, this might help if you're up here and you have two teammates downstairs, is the tunnel, the fire tunnel underneath where the boss's platform is. You can actually hang on the left and right side of that tunnel even when the fire is on, and you'll take a little bit of damage, you won't take a lot of damage. So if you have any sort of, healing rift, you can stay down there. And it's the best place to hide. So, staying to the ledge, it's not the perfect place, but it's the only place that you can hold out really in that room. So regardless if you're doing this as a solo player or in a team group and you have somebody up on top like I am here, it's still good to know for your other teammates downstairs they can hide out in that fire tunnel room. Help you avoid ads as well as boss damage. And that's going to be it for all the information in today's video. Hopefully you found something in this video helpful. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on all post notifications, that bell that's right next to the big red subscribe button, for more Destiny 2 content. Any of those things will also enter you into any future giveaways on this YouTube channel. We're doing another one at 57,000 subscribers, and then bigger ones down the line. You can also follow me on Instagram or Twitter. They'll be linked in the description box down below for another entry into that giveaway. Or you can leave any of the hashtags listed beneath this video in the comments section down below. That'll give you another entry into any future giveaways. For this video, remember those secret hashtags, or those hashtags listed, stack between all videos. So if you haven't done that on a previous piece of content on this channel, you can always go back, check out another video, and of course do it again. And as always, I am Wilhelm Scream. Of course, we will see you next time. Little